Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our latest live stream. Hope everybody's having a good evening so far. Do have some severe weather to get to in this live stream. We actually have two active tornado warnings currently ongoing, both of which are currently in northeast Tennessee. As of right now, these have just been issued in the last several minutes. We've had some rotation on both of these cells that are up in northeast Tennessee near the Churchill area, both of which are moving off to the east. Both of them are rotating. These are different storms, even though there are two tornado warnings overlapping. They are both different rotations. So if you're in either of these tornado warnings, make sure you're seeking shelter immediately, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Again, these have been just issued within the last few minutes. Currently near the Churchill area, going to the east. They'll be eventually going toward Bluff City. Just kind of zooming out again if you're just tuning in. Two tornado warnings in northeast Tennessee right now. Seek shelter immediately, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you're included in either of these tornado warnings. As of right now, over the last few scans, the rotation's not been nearly as organized. It has been tighter at times. Now, at the very beginning of this tornado warning, back near Edison, this was a much stronger area of rotation, and it's also been recycling multiple times. So there is a chance that this does produce a tornado again at some point down the road if it is not already. It has been rotating again for several minutes now. It is a storm that has recycled at least twice from what I've counted. It might have recycled prior to that, but we've seen a couple different times here where the rotation's gone from being weak to stronger and then back again, you know, just kind of reiterating itself several times. So that's the main area of rotation that we've been watching. That's again near the Edison area and going towards the Surgeonville area, eventually going towards Churchill in northeast Tennessee. And then back over in the Sullivan Gardens area, there's another area of rotation that has been pretty strong here for a little while. Over the last few scans, it's weakened a bit, but notice how tight that rotation was about 10 minutes ago. It actually was fairly strong. It may have even dropped a tornado, but it could also recycle as well. So two very concerning areas of rotation right now, northeast Tennessee, either of which could drop a tornado at any time. So make sure you're seeking shelter immediately, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. If you don't have an interior room, a bathroom or a closet are usually the best places to be. Again, both storms do have a pretty clean hook and inflow going to the storm on each one of them. So there is a very clean setup here for a tornado to occur. That's obviously pretty clear here with two discrete cells here in northeast Tennessee that could very well produce a tornado due to that inflow, obviously having the hook echo. That's typical structure for supercells to produce a tornado with. Again, all around the Churchill, Tennessee area. A couple other storms I want to point out. There are more severe storms going on down further to the south, one near Morrisontown for damaging winds up to 60 and quarter-sized hail. Same thing goes for the Cherokee National Forest severe thunderstorm warning. This is a fairly rural area, but this is back over near Etowah, back in southern and southeast Tennessee for damaging winds. There is a severe thunderstorm watch that goes for another 5 hours tonight here across parts of eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, and western Virginia. And this is all due to the threat of some supercells that could produce a threat for mainly damaging winds, but there might be an isolated tornado or two associated with them, which is again why we went live. A bit of an emergency live stream more than anything, just to make sure that you guys are aware. Again, two tornado warnings on and going right now in northeast Tennessee. Make sure you seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Again, this is in the Churchill area. These are two separate storms that are rotating. Again, these are your hooks right now and inflow going to the storm, either which could produce a tornado at any time, and they might have already produced tornadoes. Again, it's kind of uncertain. Haven't had any clear depiction on radar yet of there actually being a tornado out of either one of these yet, at least from what I've seen, but obviously there's a chance that one of these has produced a tornado at some point. We do have a live cam over in Knoxville. This is just kind of a little perspective on the lightning. As of about 5-10 minutes ago, there's some frequent flashes. I'm not seeing nearly as much now. You can see a couple flashes in the sky there, but there's a lot of lightning associated with these storms, so we're definitely going to be watching for the threat of some cloud ground lightning. But the lightning has been a lot more frequent with the storms that are back down near Morrisontown, Jefferson City, and Newport, back down toward Seaverville, and even further south of that, east of Knoxville. There's been a ton of lightning out of those cells, and even on these tornado warnings that we have ongoing right now, there's been a pretty decent amount of lightning on these as well, and there is a chance for some cloud ground lightning. So you want to make sure again that you're staying indoors this evening as these storms do pass. If thunder roars, go indoors. Don't try to be outside. It's 10 o'clock at night. I don't know why anybody would really be outside this time unless you have like an outdoor job. But obviously make sure that you're staying indoors. If thunder roars, again, go indoors. There's a lot of lightning with these storms, and that is going to be fairly frequent with any cells that do continue to go on for the next few hours. Even though daylight heating's over, it doesn't mean severe weather's over. Obviously, the severe weather threat usually goes down as the daylight heating ends, but we obviously have enough instability to the point where we do have supercells out there that are going to be capable of at least some severe weather. Again, here's the last several scans on these storms. The rotation back over here that's near the Edison area, near Surgeonsville, that one has been, again, a little bit stronger overall in terms of the rotation, but this one over here has weakened out over the last few scans, but could recycle. It was very strong at the very beginning of the tornado warning cycle south of Churchill, and it may have even produced a tornado. So again, if we kind of pause the screen here, I'm going to try to pause it right here. You'll notice again that stronger area of rotation back at about 9:39, so about 20 minutes ago. It's been in and out though for the last several several minutes. It's not been nearly as tight and confined, but it could produce a tornado again at any time if it didn't already. It has enough rotation in this supercell for there to perhaps be a tornado with it sometime down the road. Again, going toward Lone Star right now, going toward Rock Springs and Deerfield. And it's going to be on this tail of the hook, by the way. That's usually where these tornadoes like to sit, is right on that little hook there, and then your inflow again going into the storm. That kind of gives it that rotation at the surface and even a little bit up into the lower atmosphere to be able to produce that threat for some rotation and then eventually possibly a tornado. The cell that's back out to the west might struggle a bit more just due to the fact there might be a lot more rain, cool air that's going to impact it, but regardless, it definitely still has a chance for maybe a tornado here over the next several minutes, but the rotation overall has been definitely much weaker. You'll notice this is the area of winds that have been the strongest. We matched it up with where the rotation should be. It should be a little bit further down here to the south, but overall, again, we are looking at a pretty nasty storm at the bare minimum, producing the threat of some damaging winds and lightning. This one definitely looks a lot more concerning, though, overall. I mean, again, it has nothing really stopping it. There's not any rain, cool air really out in front of this storm to really prevent its overall basically its the overall rotation, I'll just say that. But that's basically what we're looking at here. And again, look at this storm back at 942. Look at that. That was actually a pretty impressive storm at 942 south of Churchill. And again, look as we go over the last several minutes to 947 and eventually going close to 952. Again, this storm has been maintaining a pretty decent shape here. And again, has a very clean inflow right now. Again, not really a whole lot of rain, cool air in front of it. It should have a decent time here producing maybe a brief tornado here as it goes towards Bluff City, Boring, and Holston. So again, if you're anywhere in this pink box, seek shelter. Again, we got 2 tornado warnings, and if you're just tuning in, again, this is in Northeast Tennessee. These 2 tornado warnings are currently ongoing in. We do not have any live cams in this area. Unfortunately, the closest live cam is back down near Knoxville, at least on Radar Omega. So we've been kind of looking at this one. There's been frequent lightning over this direction, but we don't have any live cams that are too close to this area. But at this point, this storm over here that's now near Sullivan Gardens probably did produce a tornado there briefly. I mean, again, if you go back on the radar scans, that is a pretty defined hook. In addition to that, the rotation was quite strong at the time. So there is definitely a chance that that did briefly at least produce a tornado over that direction. So again, it's not 100% sure, but it's definitely a possibility that did produce a tornado there briefly. All right, I'm going to check Twitter and see if we have any updates on either of these storms. But as of right now, no other updates in the last 10 minutes on either tornado warning. They are both still radar-indicated rotation. The one here near Sullivan Gardens area had the stronger area of rotation, and it still does. Look at this. Back near the Sullivan Gardens area and Poplar Grove, there's still a decent amount of rotation there that's going toward Rock Springs, Deerfield, eventually going to go toward Holston. So again, there could be a tornado at any time. I mean, it does have enough rotation. Very well could drop a tornado still. Again, it has maintained a pretty decent intensity in terms of its rotation on radar. Whether it produces a tornado or not is still kind of to be determined. Let's check out the correlation coefficient. We'll kind of estimate this here a little bit. I'm not seeing anything definitive where that area of rotation is at this time. So again, nothing confirmed by radar in terms of the tornado being on the ground, but again, it could drop at any time. So stay in your safe place. Again, if you're anywhere in this tornado warning, this is near Churchill, just south and east of Churchill. Basically, if you're on the north and east side of Churchill, you're not necessarily in the tornado warning, depending on where you are. Obviously, if you're like in the eastern southern side of Churchill, you're technically in that pink box. But again, this area of rotation that's back over near the Surgeonville and Cold Springs area, I'm not really foreseeing this probably being tornado warned too much longer. I'm not seeing nearly as much rotation as before. It was a little bit stronger, had a bit more organization. It's trying to recycle, but overall, it does not look very impressive anymore. And it's really because of the storm out in front of it. It's definitely going to weaken out a bit. And again, we're past daylight heating. It's 10 o'clock at night. So just kind of keep that in mind. And yeah, here's the tornado warning. So it has, again, been condensed here. It has been updated. It's still radar indicated rotation. Surgeonville will be impacted by the storm in the next 5 minutes. Probably about right now, though. So again, if you're in Surgeonville, get to your safe place for the time being. But again, the rotation on this storm has definitely been weaker over the last several minutes. Does look much broader. Could it drop a tornado in the next 5-10 minutes? Probably not, but I would still stay in your safe place just in case this somehow recycles really quickly. We don't have the most favorable environment for tornadoes tonight, but we do have enough of an environment for at least enough shear and enough of a low-level jet for there perhaps be an isolated tornado or two. And back near the Sullivan Gardens area, again, there is some rotation still here. So if you're over near Sullivan Gardens, Fordtown, Boring, Holston, or the Sunrise Valley area in parts of Northeast Tennessee, make sure you're staying in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, as this does continue to move off to the east. And by the way, Surgeonville is a population of 11,700, so it is a pretty populated area for Surgeonville. I'm not sure about the other tornado warning, but just kind of a FYI. And if you know anybody in this area, again, this is Northeast Tennessee. If you know anybody up in Northeast Tennessee, make sure you give them a call or text. Make sure they're in their safe place. Again, we got 2 tornado warnings ongoing. The one further back out to the west, not nearly as intense as before. The one that's back near Sullivan Gardens is a little bit more intense as of right now. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Again, I wasn't expecting to go live at all tonight, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting to go live at all for the rest of this week. But here we are. I mean, honestly, I was kind of surprised that we had 2 tornado warnings at 10 o'clock at night Eastern time. So I had to change over. I was gonna be live about 15 minutes before this, but I have to set up everything, and it takes a while to set up the live stream. It doesn't take like 2 seconds, so I had to change the time zone. I had to change a bunch of other stuff. So again, if you're just tuning in, this is Northeast Tennessee. 2 tornado warnings, neither of which have had a confirmed tornado, but this one that's been near Sullivan Gardens, still some rotation there. Very well could produce a tornado at any time. It was much stronger that back basically just east of the Longs Bend area, kind of in between these 2 tornado warnings, the intersection of the two. There was much stronger rotation right here. It could have dropped a tornado there, but again, there hasn't been any confirmation. I have not looked back at the correlation coefficient data to be able to confirm anything there from a while back. It would be kind of hard to tell at this point since we are starting to lose some of the frames here, but there might have been. I'm not entirely sure, though. I would have to go back and look on Twitter. Maybe somebody has some photographic evidence. Does anybody know? I mean, if there's any weather geeks in the chat, have you looked back like a while back when the storm was west or just south of Churchill? Did you guys see anything like right here in terms of the tight rotation or correlation coefficient drop? I'm not entirely sure, so I was not able to look back that far. Sir Goingsville, thank you, Cecilia. Yeah, so the Sir Goingsville area, that's what it is. That area, again, stay in your safe place. Rotation is much weaker than before. Notice there's really not a whole lot of rotation left here. The wind is really probably going to be the main concern on this storm. I think this tornado warning will probably be let to be canceled or expire. The tornado warning does go for another 23 minutes. And then the other one that's back over here near Fordtown and Boring and near Holston does still have a chance of producing a tornado. But the rotation's also been a little bit weaker on this one. Let's see if we have any other radar sites. I don't think we do. Closest one's gonna be just northeast of the Knoxville area, but that's what we're looking at there. Again, there are other live cams across the board, one near Chattanooga. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to really see anything here in terms of lightning. Oh, there was just lightning. I clicked off at the bad time. Let's go back to this real quick. This is just kind of a perspective here if you're down in parts of Tennessee. Again, there's gonna be frequent lightning. It's probably gonna be every like 5-10 seconds at least, possibly more frequent than that. But there's gonna be a lot of cloud to ground lightning tonight, so you definitely want to make sure you're staying indoors tonight. If you're anywhere in Tennessee, possibly northern Georgia or Alabama, don't go outside tonight. If you hear thunder, go indoors. If you're not anywhere near a storm, you don't have to worry about it at that current time, but it's definitely something you want to be aware of at least. Again, it's like 10:30, or about almost 10:30, so I don't know why many people would be outside at this time. Maybe to take a night walk. Obviously, it's been very hot recently. That might be why, but obviously make sure you're staying indoors. If you hear any thunder, when thunder roars, go indoors. That is the saying. All right, here's the latest radar scan here. Let's check this out. So again, 906 is the latest velocity scan, so we're a couple minutes behind on the velocities. Looks like the Sir Goingsville storm could be perhaps producing some sort of little hook here now on the backside, so I'll have to watch this closely. We'll see what the velocities show and see if that's something of concern. And then again, the other one near Fordtown is the other area that we're still watching for perhaps maybe a tornado. That one in particular, back over here to the east, the most easterly discrete cell so far, has been the more impressive one. But again, it's kind of a question whether either one will produce a tornado. And here's the latest radar scan. So the rotation back over near the Sir Goingsville area is still fairly broad. Again, the velocities, what we're looking at here, those red winds, are winds going away from the radar, and green is going toward the radar. It's counterclockwise spin, which is 98% of what tornadoes are, is typically counterclockwise. We're not seeing a whole lot of rotation, though. It's still pretty broad right now. Could it strengthen? Sure. Again, it could recycle over the next several minutes. We'll still have to monitor that closely. And then back over near Fordtown, there is rotation here still. It very well could produce a tornado at any time. Stay in your safe place if you're anywhere near the Holston, Boring, or Fordtown area, or Sunrise Valley, or again, anywhere really on the eastern half here of this tornado warning. You definitely want to make sure you're staying in your safe place. I would still stay in your safe place even if you're back over here to the west as well, because there's definitely a chance that we could see this start to re-strengthen as well. All right, we do have a new tornado warning that has been issued on this storm that's near Fordtown, Boring, Holston. This will include Bluntville, Bluff City, Silver Grove, Cedar Grove, Buffalo, and Piney Flats. Again, this is a brand new tornado warning. Seek shelter immediately away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you're included in this tornado warning. Also includes Bristol. Again, this is a very populated area with almost 140,000 people in this area. So if you know any friends or family in the track of it, make sure you give them a call or text. Make sure they're getting into their safe place. It is 10 o'clock at night, so some people might already be sleeping. But this is an area of rotation that has been rotating for quite a while and could produce a tornado at any time. So stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is in northeast Tennessee. And this storm in particular particular has been intense for quite a while, at least for the last 30 to 45 minutes, has been fairly strong in terms of its rotation, and it very well could produce a tornado as it continues to move to the east. On the other hand, the storm that's back over near Sir Goingsville area, it is not nearly as strong, not nearly as concerning. We're still going to watch it closely, but that rotation is much weaker than before, and it could be due to multiple factors, including rain cool air. It could be because of its inflow, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of different reasons why that storm might be weakening out, but the one near Fordtown in particular is discreet, and it really has nothing out in front of it right now. There's not a whole lot of rain cool air, nothing to really hinder its overall rotation at this given time, at least. So there is a chance that this still does produce a tornado sometime down the road. So again, seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you're included in this brand new tornado warning for the Bluntville, Bristol, and Buffalo areas here in Northeast Tennessee. And it also, again, the city of Bristol is in Virginia, so it's basically including a very small sliver there of really far western Virginia. So again, stay in your safe place if you're included in this brand new tornado warning. Again, we are in Tennessee and as well as Virginia. Those are the two states now that have tornado warnings. There are 3 total tornado warnings. These 2 right here are on the same tornado warning, so it's this storm here. And then back over here near the Sir Goingsville area, that storm in particular is losing its intensity. So it's not nearly as concerning as of before, but it is still producing some lightning and some damaging winds up to about 60 miles per hour. The storm, on the other hand, that's moving toward Bristol and Bluntville, as well as Buffalo, is a little bit more concerning because, again, it has a more clean inflow, which will increase its rotation. And the hook itself as well is definitely fairly defined here. And then that would again be where your tornado would be. It would be right there, just to the west here of the Fordtown area. It's about to be over Fordtown in a moment. And eventually this will be going toward Bluntville, Bluff City, and Bristol. So if you're in those areas, stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. If you're in Bristol, I'm kind of hoping this stays down to your south. I think it will. You'll probably be talking about more of lightning and possibly some damaging winds there. I think that this storm in particular will be more on an easterly track, but still monitor this very closely and stay in your safe place until that tornado warning is lifted from your location. And again, this is your area of rotation right here. So that's going to be right over Fordtown. Oop, my pen just glitched. But that would be the area right there, just to the north of Fordtown. So stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Hey, no problem, Chris. No problem. Yeah, I'll keep you posted if anything does change there. Yeah, if you're back over in the, again, if you're in Surgeon or the Sir Goingsville area, again, I'm not nearly as concerned about that storm. Stay in your safe place, but the storm itself is losing its intensity. It's more of now a damaging windstorm, which is still concerning, so stay in your safe place. But after that passes, there really shouldn't be a tornado with this one. This thing's lost its intensity very quickly. It is more rain, maybe a little bit of lightning, but I would still play it safe just in case. But again, I'm not overly confident that that storm will produce much anymore. It has really started to weaken out because of the storm that's out in front of it that is still rotating, by the way, again, near Fordtown. But this one in particular has been a bit stronger in terms of its rotation, and it's been out in front of that storm. So there's rain cool air interacting with the storm back here, and it's going to kind of hinder its environment a bit, and that's going to kind of weaken that storm out a bit quicker. But this still, that's way out in front of it still, it's again more discreet on the southern side, and it very well could produce that threat for a tornado. So again, stay in your safe place if you're in Bluff City, Bluntville, and if you're anywhere in these pink boxes. Again, we do have 3 tornado warnings currently ongoing on this string of storms here in Northeast Tennessee right now. And thank you, by the way, JD, for the 12 months. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is Northeast Tennessee. If you have any reports of a tornado that you've personally witnessed, again, you shouldn't really contact me. You should contact the local National Weather Service. They'll do a much better job with handling that information. I can't really do anything other than just relay it. So if you have any reports of funnel clouds, tornadoes, anything like that, the best place to go would be the National Weather Service. And any reports in general of damage, you can relay that to them. Obviously, they're very busy with these tornado warnings. And again, there is more other severe weather, by the way. We do have another severe thunderstorm warning back down in parts of southern Tennessee, and a bunch of strong storms back over in parts of northern Alabama. So there's still a good amount of severe weather, but this is the string of tornado warnings that we have that's back up in Northeast Tennessee. Really, the main concern right now is these tornado warnings. And look at this area near Fordtown right now. Pretty strong little tight area of rotation near Fordtown by the looks of it. Let's just kind of look through this a little bit, though, because it's a little bit in front of where the hook is. So sometimes this is a little bit of a false sign, but we'll kind of look and investigate this a little bit. So right near Deertown, it's a little bit in front of that hook as of 9:13. So maybe not really a whole lot of rotation there, because the rotation would be more in here. That's usually where it likes to sit. It's a little bit in front of it, but again, it could produce a tornado. Correlation coefficient is not indicating a tornado as of right now, so that's good news for now, but again, it could produce one over the next several minutes. This is the correlation coefficient. What we're looking at with the correlation coefficient is to see if there's any debris being lofted up into the atmosphere, and we line that up with the strongest area of rotation, and I'm not seeing that right now, so that's good news for the time being. But again, it is a favorable storm here to produce maybe a brief tornado down the road as it goes toward Bluff City, the Bluntville, and as well Cedar Grove and Silver Grove, and again, perhaps even Bristol, Virginia. Again, all those areas are in the track of this ongoing tornado warning cell. So stay in your safe place and away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. If you're in a mobile home, make plans to go elsewhere. Do not stay in your mobile home if you're in a tornado warning. Make sure you have that plan ahead of time. If you're out in front of the storm especially, make sure you have that plan in place to go away from your mobile home to a structural building, because mobile homes do not hold up in storms like this. They just don't. It is not a favorable environment, to say the least, for mobile homes. Damaging winds, any sort of severe weather, they just don't hold up well. So you don't want to be caught in a mobile home during one of these tornado warnings. The storm that's back over near the Sir Goingsville area, pretty weak in terms of rotation. This tornado warning will probably be canceled. So we'll be probably down to 2 tornado warnings. This storm over here is losing a lot of its intensity, even as a thunderstorm. It only has a couple strikes of lightning over the last 15 minutes. It's definitely a weakening storm for sure. The storms that are over here, though, unfortunately, are not weakening. They are definitely still maintaining their intensity. Look how much lightning there is. I mean, there is a ton of lightning in here. The lightning detection on Radar Omega is indicating a ton back up in parts of northeast Tennessee and back even just west of Bristol. So there is a light show out here. If you're on like the northern side of the severe thunderstorm warning and away from the storm and looking out your window down to the south, you might be seeing a lot of flashes in the sky, and that would be because of the amount of lightning that's currently happening with this storm. It is a lot of lightning right now, so that is definitely a concern in terms of the cloud to ground lightning. That's a big concern with these types of storms. Let's just zoom out a little bit. And again, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you get a perspective of where we are. And again, this is in northeast Tennessee and western Virginia. Those are where the 3 tornado warnings are currently ongoing. The furthest west tornado warning will likely be canceled in the next few minutes. And there's another severe storm back over near the Cherokee National Forest that is southeast of Athens. That is not a whole lot of a concern for a tornado risk right now. The tornado risk right now with any of these cells is currently located in northeast Tennessee. But if you're near Bluff City, the Bluntville or Bristol area, stay in your safe place and away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. I cannot reiterate enough. This storm does have a possibility of producing a tornado. That is the rotation right there, and it lines up. It doesn't really line up with the hook, though. That's the one thing about this, and let's kind of check out the correlation coefficient. Could still produce a tornado, though. And again, looking at the correlation coefficient, I am not seeing a definitive area here of debris being lifted up. We would be looking for like yellows or blues to be appearing here. We're not seeing that. So again, there's not actively a tornado on the ground, at least at this radar scan, but there could be a tornado in between radar scans. That's the concern with a storm like this. It could produce a brief tornado in between a radar scan, which is essentially the radar scans are only happening every 2 to 3 minutes. And tornadoes can last only 20 to 30 seconds in some instances. So that's one thing that you need to keep in mind here. Even though it might not look like it's on the ground on radar, or it might not look strong on radar, it could really change in a blink of an eye and potentially produce a tornado. So definitely stay in your safe place if you're included in this tornado warning. Area of rotation, again, is back over here near the Spurgeon area in Boring and near Holston. Those are the areas where the rotation's located. Definitely some strong or high velocities, which is going to indicate the potential for at least some damaging winds with this as it continues to move to the east. But the overall storm right now, again, is currently going to be moving toward Bluff City, eventually Cedar Grove, Silver Grove, and Bristol, Virginia. Those are the areas, again, in the track of this over the next several minutes. So stay in your safe place and away from windows and on the lowest floor possible if you're included in this tornado warning. I'm gonna check Twitter and see if we have any other updates here real quick. Not sure if we got any reports. Does anybody have any reports right now in the vicinity of these tornado warnings? Again, stay in your safe place, but if you've heard anything or anything like that, feel free to let me know in the chat. But again, please, if you have any, just stay in your safe place. Don't try to go look outside for this tornado. By the way, again, it's 10:20 at night. You're not going to be able to see this tornado. At least trained weather spotters are the ones that should be trying to look for this if they are, currently storm chasing. If you're in your home right now or your apartment building, wherever you might be, you want to stay in your safe place. It's nighttime. It's impossible to see it. It's not impossible, but it's very hard to see a tornado at this time of night unless there's a lot of lightning, which there is a decent amount of lightning right now. But even then, it's difficult to tell if there's a tornado near you or not. So stay in your safe place. Don't try to be going outside or even looking out your window. It's very dangerous with this type of environment because, again, it's pitch black outside and it's a nocturnal threat. That means it's a nighttime threat. It's dark outside. There might be a tornado at any time. And again, where the tornado will be located will be down in here. So it's going to be just west of Boring, going toward Holston, and eventually going toward Buffalo, Bluff City, Bluntville, and Bristol. And again, a lot of lightning up in this storm on the northern side, which is a concern. There's probably a lot of cloud lightning, but there could be some cloud to ground lightning. So just keep that in mind if you're back over that direction. Real quickly, back over to the Churchill tornado warned storm. Again, I'm not seeing any rotation anymore on this one. We haven't seen any in about 10-15 minutes now, so there hasn't been really a whole lot on this storm that's back near the Churchill or New Canton area. So again, not nearly as much of a concern right now. It's a weakening storm. There's not been a single lightning strike detected in the last few minutes there. So it's definitely a weakening storm overall. It's going to just turn into probably a downpour. And then our main concern from here on out will probably be this area of storms here and perhaps the other storms that are further down to the south. But these, again, are producing a lot of lightning right now moving to the east. Could see a tornado drop at any time back near the Boring area. So stay in your safe place on the lowest floor possible. Thank you, Westfeller. I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate your generosity. Stay safe, Cheryl. Stay safe. Yeah, again, if you're in Bristol, you got a few minutes. Like, if there's an emergency or anything like that, again, you got a few minutes until the storm actually gets to you. It's still a good 10 to 15 minutes out. We can actually, let's track this out. Let me just get the speed here. It's about 30 miles per hour, but again, you want to be in your safe place well ahead of this storm being there. But Bristol is still a good ways out from this. Let's just kind of time this out, though. Again, this is the area of circulation here. I'm just going to kind of zoom it out just a little bit. Again, Bristol might not get hit by this, but might just stay to your, like the rotation itself might stay down to your south. I'm going to kind of point it a little bit north. So right now, Bristol is estimated in about 20 to 25 minutes, maybe half an hour. So again, you got a little bit of time, but obviously don't wait until the last second. You know, you want to be in your safe place really within, if you're in Bristol, again, I'm just talking about Bristol here. If you're in Bristol, you got a few minutes if there's an emergency, but I would not wait that long because there's a chance for some damaging winds even associated with this area of storms. It's about to move into your location. In addition to that, there is lightning. So don't try to go outside or anything like that. Like at this point, there's no reason to go outside because there's lightning in the area, but if you have to, like, you know, let's just say the dog's upstairs and you want to bring them to the basement, that's fine, but obviously don't try to go cook a full-blown meal right now. That's not what you want to be doing. And in terms of an emergency, that's not really technically an emergency here. All right, let's go back down to the southern part of this tornado warning near the Boring area. Again, Boring is where we do have the ongoing area of rotation. And again, this would be our area of rotation. I want to point out one thing to you is that the velocities that we're looking at are still a decent amount off the ground that we're looking at. So there is a chance here that the rotation is a bit stronger, closer to the ground. It's also possible that the rotation is actually associated more where this should be, which would be back in this hook here. But that would be where we're looking for that potential for a tornado. It'll be back over here near the Tri-Cities Regional Airport, south of Holston. It'll be going toward the Bluff City area. And again, it's not an overly fast-moving storm. So Bluff City is going to be hit probably in about 5 minutes or so, but you should be in your safe place again well ahead of time. And eventually this will be going towards Silver Grove, Cedar Grove, Hickory Tree, Holston View, and Deerfield Acres. So if you're anywhere in this tornado warning right now, you want to stay in your safe place away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Just heads up, that tornado warning has now been canceled for the Sargoinsville and the Churchill areas. So you are no longer in that tornado warning. And if you're back over here on the western side of this ongoing tornado warning, back near like the Dykes Mill or south of Churchill, you are no longer in the concern here for a tornado. The area of rotation is now back over here where we are seeing some fairly strong, at least velocities. You know, when we start to see these pink colors and even sometimes that orange there, that's indicating some high wind speed. So we're definitely looking at the damaging wind potential if there's not a tornado, but that strong rotation could indicate that there might be a tornado that could drop at any time with this sort of environment, especially with those types of velocities that we're seeing here. So there's at least damaging winds with this, but there obviously could be a tornado at any time if it's able to circulate enough here. Again, the shear and the low-level jet is strong enough for that to occur, so we have to watch that closely. And again, if you're just tuning in, this is a zoomed out look here of the entire Tennessee and as well as Western Virginia, Western North Carolina vicinity. Again, the severe thunderstorm watch here goes for another 4.5 hours. So it goes all the way into the early overnight hours here across these areas. Stay weather aware tonight. Even if you're not in the tornado warning, there is going to be a chance for at least damaging winds and perhaps maybe an isolated tornado. Those are the main concerns here for tonight. Again, this is by no means a tornado outbreak. There's by no means any reason to be panicking or scared tonight. Just make sure that you have a tornado action plan in place and have multiple ways to receive alerts if you're not in this tornado warning right now. Obviously, if you're in the tornado warning, you want to make sure you are in your safe place right now and away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. But again, there's by no means reason to panic here. This is, you know, an isolated tornado risk tonight. Scattered damaging winds is definitely the main concern, so stay weather aware. if you're anywhere outside of this tornado warning right now, in possibly like eastern Tennessee, again, western North Carolina, northern Georgia, northern Alabama, those areas, those are your main concerns for tonight. A lot of the storms, though, should stay not necessarily below severe limits, but a lot of the storms should overall be on the scale of, around damaging winds around 60 miles per hour. So 50 to 60 mile per hour winds will pretty much be the main concern tonight, with maybe an isolated tornado. And this is an example, again, of an isolated tornado risk. Again, we have some fairly high velocities here still. I'm not seeing a definitive area, though, of rotation anymore. Let's, check this out a little bit more. Again, the area of rotation is going to be over Boring, so there is definitely some rotation here. It's over near the Boone Lake area, so that's our area of rotation. And stay in your safe place on the lowest floor possible. This is going to be approaching Bluff City in the next 5 minutes, so if you're in Bluff City, definitely stay in your safe place on the lowest floor possible right now if you're included in this tornado warning. Just kind of comparing and contrasting here. Yeah, so the rotation is still ongoing there. Again, it's not tight and confined. It is a little bit broad. It's kind of like the broad to moderate stage. But again, we're looking a little bit off the ground. So there is a chance that this could produce a tornado at any time. Over near the northeast of Oak Grove. That's the area of rotation right now near Boring. And the Crossroad area. That's a tongue twister. Back over east of the Tri-Cities Regional Airport. That's, again, the hook that we have right now. Inflow going to the storm. That would be where our tornado will be located if it ends up dropping. Again, this is still radar indicated rotation. We have not yet confirmed a tornado by radar, or nobody's observed a tornado warning, or tornado, excuse me, as of yet. Gonna check Twitter and see if we have any other updates. Also, a new update for parts of basically central southern Virginia. So western Richmond, Virginia, south of Charlottesville, and then back through parts of western North Carolina. There is a new mesoscale discussion that has been issued by the Storm Prediction Center. Isolated to widely scattered supercell development is increasingly possible through midnight to 2 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're in those areas, I'm going to pull up that little map really quickly here. I'm only going to be on this for like 5 seconds, but this is the area. So again, this is basically west of Richmond, south of the Charlottesville area, and then back through parts of central and western North Carolina. A severe thunderstorm watch will likely be, or not likely, but is probably going to be issued for that area. 60% chance they're giving it. So that's the latest on that area. Back out to the east. And again, severe weather will be possible back out that direction as well. With these storms that'll continue to evolve and move to the east. Again, we have a lot of storms out there, much of which are not severe right now, but there's definitely going to be a chance for some of these to start to increase a little bit intensity as they move further to the east. But the biggest concern is these discrete supercells that we have right now. For example, the one again near Bluff City in northeast Tennessee. This one's definitely a concern right now for that potential for producing a tornado. So definitely stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. If you're included again in this tornado warning, Bristol, Virginia is currently also included in this tornado warning right now. All right, let's just kind of go back to the, we're going to stay on the reflectivity. It's about to update, but the rotation itself is going to be located right about here now. So it's going to be crossing over into parts basically of western, the Piney Flats area, and West Bluff City. Just zooming in a little bit on the satellite imagery, and you'll notice this is going to be going towards like the Strawberry Top, and as well as the Hillcrest area near Bluff City Diner and Patty's Knob, those areas, and as well as the Ridgewood Barbecue. So if you're anywhere in those vicinities, you definitely want to make sure you get in your safe place now. Rotation is now crossing over toward the Gross Crossroad area. Again, this is your hook, inflow going to the storm. This would be where the tornado would be located. Again, if a tornado ends up evolving out of this, which it's definitely entirely possible. The rotation still remains, again, kind of in the moderate stage right now. So it's kind of in between being broad and strong. It's kind of in the middle right now. It's trying to develop, though. It definitely could at any time. We do have some high winds, though, for sure. There's definitely going to be some damaging winds heading toward the, at least on the southern side of the storm near Hillcrest and Bluff City for sure. So if you're in those areas, kind of on the southern side here, even near Piney Flats, even though it doesn't look like the storm's going toward you, you should stay in your safe place because there is a chance here for some damaging winds at the bare minimum. Your rotation is going to be located right in here right now. That's the area of rotation, and that's going to be going toward basically Hillcrest and Bluff City and Buffalo. Those are the immediate areas in the track of this. Over the next few minutes, if you're on the southern side here, you definitely want to still stay in your safe place, and as well as near Childress, Piney Flats, New Bethel, and the Chinquapin Grove. I don't think I actually butchered that name. I think I said that one right. That's back over there. That is currently also in this tornado warning, and that area you definitely should stay in your safe place. Tornado warning has been not canceled. I believe it just expired back over for the Churchill area just south of there. So that has now been has expired. Back over in Churchill, there was also a report of quarter-sized hail. So this storm that's going through Bristol right now, there's a chance it is producing hail up to the size of quarters, which is obviously concerning. So stay away from windows. Wind-driven hail could even go through windows, especially very thin windows. That's a better chance of that happening. But yeah, definitely stay away from windows. Again, rotation's located here. It's not tight and confined as of right now, but it very well could drop a tornado at any time. Check out the correlation coefficient. Yeah, nothing as of right now being indicated by radar as if there was a tornado on the ground. We don't have anything like that as of right now. And when you see that red and tan colors, that does not indicate a tornado. When we're looking at the correlation coefficient, we're looking for a definitive area of either like blue or yellow showing up on this radar to be able to indicate if debris is being lifted up in the atmosphere. Again, I'm not seeing that right now, but it obviously, again, could change at any time. So stay in your safe place for the next several minutes. Thank you, Chris. And I do apologize if I mispronounce anything. I am not familiar with Northeast Tennessee, but I do try. Thank you for the fun fact, Zachary. I did not know that. That's interesting. I'm using Radar Omega. If you want to download it, I believe it's one of the links in the bottom of the description. Is anybody currently inside this tornado warning, by the way, near Bristol or Bluff City area? Are you guys hearing anything? See anything from a distance? Obviously, don't try to, be going close to windows right now, but just curious. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is a Northeast Tennessee tornado warning. Again, this storm's been rotating for several minutes now. We do not have any active live cams in this area in Northeast Tennessee that are at least accessible on Radar Omega. The closest one's back down near Knoxville. The wind in Bristol is insane right now. Yeah, again, if you're in Bristol, stay away from windows. I don't even think there's a severe thunderstorm warning up here, which I'm a little bit surprised by. But this area of storms could very well be producing some damaging winds. It's definitely not 100% because, again, we don't have a great view on this radar site, or at least on the storm from this radar site. I don't even think this one's going to pick up on it very well. I'm just going to kind of look. Yeah, we don't really have any good views of the velocities necessarily, but there's definitely a possibility for damaging winds up there, back up near the Bristol area. So that's definitely possible for sure. Again, Evergreen Hills, the Booker area, and going to the east. There's definitely a chance for some damaging winds, so definitely make sure you're staying away from windows if you're up in that area. Even though there's not a severe thunderstorm warning actively on the north side of Bristol, definitely want to stay in your safe place. Yeah, we still have some very high velocities here. I mean, this is definitely an intense area of at least wind. But the rotation, again, is still on the broad side. It's not overly strong. I know it's not very easy to see here, but this is actually broad right here. This is like gray color. We do still have a little bit of, the rotation overall is a little bit broad right now, but there's definitely a chance for damaging winds as of now. Again, this could start to develop into something over the next few minutes. Still a very definitive hook, though. Again, hook echo, inflow going to the storm, which, again, inflow is one of the biggest parts of these storms. Being able to have an inflow to rotate the supercell is big. And then, again, your tornado will be located here if one were to drop. So that's what we're looking at right now. And this is moving off to the east. Thank you, Ollie. I appreciate the generosity. A lot of lightning here in McMinn County in Tennessee. I appreciate the report. Thank you again for the $10 super chat. And also, thank you, PA. I can't see the name, but I appreciate you buying a Tornadic Supercell hat. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, do not jump in a pool during a thunderstorm. That is absolutely insane. There is a lot of lightning. Again, I can't stress this enough. I mean, you can see it on the radar here. There's a ton of lightning associated with the storm. Back near Buffalo, the Bluntville, and Holston area, even back near Bristol, there's a lot of lightning. Frequent lightning, possibly even some cloud to ground lightning. That can definitely create some issues at least. So, again, definitely stay away from windows. And, again, cloud to ground lightning is entirely possible. Look at this storm that's not even severe warned right now. Back over near the Cowan Mill area. That's a lot of lightning as well. Very high density area of lightning. So again, these storms are highly electrified tonight. And if you're a distance away from this, maybe back over in like North Carolina, maybe Western North Carolina, and looking from afar, you might be able to see a bit of a light show from over there. Even though the storm is well over 50 miles away from you. It's hailing in Bluff City. Thank you for the report. If you have any idea on the hailstone size, let me know. But again, don't go outside to look for hailstone sizes. Just, look from afar if you can kind of judge it. Usually, I'm kind of expecting, if you're in Bluff City and you're seeing hail right now, it's probably going to be on the lower scale of things. I'm guessing it's going to probably be like pea size, maybe up to dime size at the most. Rotation is definitely intensified just a little bit on this latest radar scan. Again, rotation's going to be located, let's see what time it is. All right, so we're 4 minutes behind on the radar. Here we go now. But the rotation's going to be located right here. So if you're in Bluff City, get away from windows immediately on the lowest floor possible. If you're in Buffalo, Hillcrest, get to your safe place now. Again, rotation's located here now. This is your hook. This is your inflow. Tornado would be located here. I need to make this pen smaller, but this would be your tornado. Again, if there were to be a tornado, that would be where it's located. And the rotation, again, is not strong, tight, and confined, so we're not looking at an imminent tornado right now, but it very well has strengthened just a little bit over this latest radar scan. Which, you know, on a scale like 1 to 10, 10 being a tornado is about to drop, or is right now on the ground, I mean, and the 1's like definitely nothing at all in terms of rotation. This is probably about a 7 right now, so it definitely could drop a tornado here in the next few minutes back over near Bluff City. Again, this could drop in between radar scans. This is the current live view of the velocities. Again, rotation's actually located here, even though it's showing it's further out here. This is the high-res velocity. If you look at the storm relative velocity, it's actually located right back here. So that's the area of rotation right now. Moving again to the east. Bluff City will be in the track of this Hickory tree. The Cedar Grove area, Silver Grove, eventually going toward Bristol will be in the track of this over the next several minutes. Looks like pea-sized tail. Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of figured. Tornado sirens in Bristol, nickel-sized hail. Thank you for the report. Yeah, Bristol is probably looking at that hail threat. And again, I don't think Bristol is going to be really in the track of a tornado-warned cell at this point. Like, you're seeing lightning, you're definitely seeing some high winds, but this area of rotation is staying to your south. So, if you're back over in Bristol right now, like anywhere on the northern side or even in downtown Bristol, I mean, stay in your safe place at least for the next few minutes because of the severe storm in your area, but I'm not really foreseeing this area of rotation taking a big turn to the north. That's just really not physically possible at this time of storm, but stay in your safe place at least for the next few minutes because of that lightning and damaging winds. The area of rotation essentially is going due east right now. Again, it could vary a little bit in terms of its track. It very well could impact these areas outside of it very easily. Even back up near Deerfield Acres and the Hoyston View area, I would still stay in your safe place as well. Again, we sometimes see these tornadoes take sharp left and right-hand turns if they end up dropping, and that's definitely a concern if you're back up further to the north or further to the south. Hence why this pink polygon is so large. That's why. We should have a new tornado warning update in a moment as well. They probably will be condensing this tornado warning is my guess on the next radar scan, so we'll have to wait and see. Will I be live when the storms hit at 2:30 and 4 in the morning? I will not be live that late. This is more of a stream to go live for these tornado warnings. But again, I'll probably be live a little bit after that for discussion and also the future radar and all that. Which I don't know how long these tornado warnings will go for. I mean, this storm has been unbelievably intense here for a little while now. It's been rotating for the last 45 minutes, an hour now. Still going. I believe this tornado warning is just updating, unless that's something else. Could be mistaken. Yeah, if you're currently near the Bluff City area, get to your safe place immediately, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you're in Bluff City right now. Yeah, the tornado warning has just condensed. That was what that was. Again, if you're in Churchill, you don't have to be in your safe place. You are no longer near these storms. Still stay weather aware there because there are more storms behind you to the west, but they're not severe right now. Right, they don't have any new notes on this tornado warning. No reports or anything like that at this point, I think. Yeah, so no new reports on this tornado warning cell. We have had no confirmation of a tornado yet, nor have we had any reports of a funnel cloud or anything like that yet. Again, it's nighttime. There's probably not a whole lot of storm chasers out here either, is my guess. So the chances of getting a confirmation of a tornado is pretty low unless it's radar confirmed. So again, stay in your safe place. Area of rotation right now is located right in here. Let's match that up right now with the reflectivity. Again, it's gonna be kind of near the Hillcrest area. That's where the strongest area of rotation currently lies. Again, that's gonna be moving off to the east. So stay in your safe place if you're in Cedar Grove, Hickory Tree. Stay away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building. Again, we are looking from a pretty decent distance away from the radar site. I just want to throw that out there. So the overall reflectivity and the velocities will be a little bit skewed. They'll be a little bit looking at basically a little bit higher up into the atmosphere, which kind of hinders the overall viewage of it, at least near the surface. So just want to throw that out there. All right, I'm going to check and see if we have any other reports on Twitter. By the way, if you have any photos or videos, again, do not take any if you're in this tornado warning. But if you have any photos or videos outside of this, you can feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. Again, we might show it on the live stream as well. But please, if you're in this tornado warning, stay in your safe place. Do not try to go take photos and videos. If you see any hail as well, feel free to tweet me any photos of hail, because obviously there has been some hail with this storm, and prior storms as well. Back over near the Cedar Hill area, there was a confirmation of quarter-sized hail, so we've at least seen some hail out of these storms. By no means is that crazy hail. I mean, that's going to cause a few dents to maybe a vehicle, but it's not going to do a whole lot beyond that. Maybe a couple dents into maybe some sort of, you know, I don't know what else it might cause dents into, but mainly like a vehicle or something like that. Maybe a little bit of damage to plants. That's really the biggest concern with that size hail. But if you have any photos of that, feel free to send them in, again, at MaxVelocityWX on Twitter. Now, if you're just tuning in, this is an ongoing tornado warning in northeast parts of Tennessee near Bluff City. Again, if you're in Bluff City, stay in your safe place now. Rotation is pretty much over top of you, maybe on the southern side of the town here. And it'll eventually be over near Cedar Grove, Hickory Tree, and Holston View in a moment. Velocity's radar is a couple minutes ahead of the reflectivity, so it's a little bit behind here. But that is the area of rotation. Thank you, Chandler, by the way. I appreciate it. This is Northeast Tennessee. By the way, I do apologize for the chat. It's a little bit crazy tonight. We do not have a moderator, so basically doing multitasking. By the way, if you have any questions, I will get to them here pretty soon after this tornado warning is lifted. So I will answer other questions eventually. We are currently focused on active tornado warnings. If there's no active tornado warnings, we'll go elsewhere. That's our main focus at all times whenever there's ongoing storms. All right, we do have a new tornado warning that has been issued for the Mountain City area, as well as Midway and the Shady Valley, Deauville, Midway, Sandy, Neva, all those areas included in this brand new tornado warning. So stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you're included in this brand new tornado warning. Again, this tornado warning is definitely not going anywhere. The rotation is still remaining, at least at the moderate stage of things, if not kind of on the stronger side, going off to the east. Again, in the immediate short term right now, Hickory Tree, Cedar Grove, Silver Grove, Holston View, Bluff City, Hillcrest, all those areas, and as well as Childress, are still actively included in this initial tornado warning. There is a new tornado warning now for the Mountain City, Cold Spring, Midway, and Sandy, Neva, Deauville areas. So again, if you're included in this new tornado warning, stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible. Other locations include Hunter and Carter. So it's basically Mountain City, Carter, Hunter, and Bluff City. Those are the main locations included in this brand new tornado warning. Again, this is all for Northeast Tennessee. After this is into Virginia. So this will be pretty much the last tornado warning, most likely, at least for this specific storm in Northeast Tennessee. And it'll eventually be into parts of Virginia. And I believe North Carolina. This actually might be North Carolina. Yeah, that's North Carolina. And then possibly the southern side of Virginia. So they're crossing into North Carolina eventually. My bot is not a mod, no. This weather is giving me a headache. This weather has been giving me a headache as well. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There's been so much severe weather the last couple weeks. It's been unbelievable. I mean, I remember last year we went live for a bunch of these types of events. I mean, there's dozens, but this year's been very active. We've had I don't remember the last time that we had a marginal risk or a no risk severe weather day. It's at least been a month and a half. All of July, we didn't have a risk that was below slight risk of severe weather on any given day. This month, I believe we've had none as well. So I'm pretty sure it's been all slight risks. It's been unbelievably active in terms of the severe weather, and we still have pretty active severe weather right now. Again, there is a tornado warning if you're just tuning in for Northeast Tennessee, going towards Carter, Hunter, Tennessee, and as well as Hickory Tree. It's over Bluff City right now. It'll eventually go toward the Mountain City area. Again, if you're included in this tornado warning, stay in your safe place on the lowest floor possible. Monique, if you're back over in the Sir Gowensville area, you are still in the risk for maybe an isolated storm that produces severe weather, but the threat is much lower now. Damaging winds would definitely be the main concern at this point. Just going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to go ahead and put on a little loop here. I don't think we have any other close by radar sites. We're unfortunately going to probably be in a little bit of a radar hole for this we're definitely in a radar hole for northeast parts of Tennessee, which makes it harder to forecast this by radar. But again, the rotation is here. That's where it is. It's not hard right now, but once we get to like the quadrant here, very far quadrant of northeast Tennessee, it gets much harder to look at on radar since we're in between like 4 different radar sites. It's a radar hole here over in northeast Tennessee, unfortunately. The moderate risk in July. Yeah, that one was crazy. That was crazy. All right, let me real quickly check and see if I have anything else on Twitter. Thank you, Lala, for sending that in. Yeah, a lot of lightning. Actually, a little bit of cloud of ground lightning there, too. Again, if you have not already heard me say it like 5 times, there's a lot of lightning tonight. These are, again, highly electrified storms, so regardless of you even being under a severe thunderstorm warning or not being under one, it doesn't really matter. You're still talking about at least some frequent lightning out of these storms that are moving through tonight. Tennessee and North Carolina, Southern Kentucky, back through parts of Western Virginia. There's a lot of lightning tonight, so if you wake up to thunder and lightning, that does not necessarily mean you're in a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, but it obviously means you might be because of how much lightning there is, and these storms are definitely going to be producing the threat of at least some isolated severe weather tonight, maybe widely scattered. So that's the main concern for tonight. Again, rotation right now is located just to the east now at Bluff City. It's going to be going towards Cedar Grove and Silver Grove. And for my friends right now in Bluff City, have you guys seen anything, heard anything? Let me know in the chat. I know a lot of you guys are from the Bluff City area. How's it going, bro? All right, let me just zoom out real quickly. Yeah, we have 2 tornado warnings. They're both up in northeast Tennessee. As of right now, we do have a couple other severe storms. Actually, one near Knoxville. This is a live view in Knoxville. We might be able to see some lightning here. You can kind of see it in the distance. We should have a pretty good view here in Knoxville of that storm as it approaches. These are, again, severe back over close to Knoxville. I'm just waiting for a good flash here. I don't know if we'll get one. A lot of flashes in the background there. But near Knoxville right now, we do have a severe storm just to the west for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and quarter-sized hail. And another one back near Athens for 60-mile-per-hour winds. And then further down here to the south, we have more strong storms ongoing. Again, if you're back up in parts of like northern Alabama, you are still watching for at least some isolated severe weather. If you're back up in northern Georgia, you're still waiting for that threat for isolated severe weather. So that's what's happening further down to the south right now. And then your main tornado warning right now, again, the only tornado warning that we have is back up here in northeast Tennessee. And if you're back near Bristol, you no longer have to be concerned, at least about this area of rotation. It's down to your south. If you're over like this area, basically if you're anywhere far south like at this line, definitely stay in your safe place. Rotation's down here. It's going east, but it obviously could change directions just a little bit. Sometimes takes a left-hand turn, that sort of thing. So just stay in your safe place. If you're anywhere down south of Bristol, but if you're in the downtown area of Bristol, you're all right. There's still some lightning in the vicinity, so that's one thing that you definitely want to be watching out for still. My husband wouldn't get out of bed. Yeah, I mean, again, it's the kind of night right now. I mean, you know, again, it's 10:30, almost 11 o'clock now. It's, you know, bedtime for a lot of people. People have work at 6, 8 in the morning, whatever it might be the next morning, so it can make it difficult for sure. But I do want to point out one thing. The storm, I mean, it's far away from the radar site, so we only have so many details that we can go off of in terms of velocity. It's not very easy to pick out, like, very strong rotation. As of right now, the area rotation is located near the Cedar Grove area. From what I've seen over the last few minutes, the rotation is still there for sure. It could very well still produce a tornado. But we are starting to witness a lot less lightning, at least over the last several minutes. So sometimes that might indicate that the storm is weakening a bit. You will notice that there's some other rain-cool air basically out in front of this area area of rotation that could overall hinder the overall tornado potential down the road. As of right now, though, in the short term, it's not gone. It's still definitely there, but we do have a possibility here down the road that could weaken out a little bit. And again, daylight heating ended a few hours ago. I just want to point that out. Which, again, in this type of environment, we do have enough instability for there to be at least an isolated tornado or two, but this storm's been going for a while. It's been struggling a little bit. So we'll kind of see what happens here over the next several minutes. But right now, again, the area of rotation is just east of Bluff City. Mountain City will be in the track of this. If you're in Mountain City, you got a little bit, right? You got like at least 10 minutes, because again, Mountain City is not estimated to be hit until like 11:25. Obviously, by like 11:10, I would start making your way to your safe place, and obviously monitor your weather very closely on radar, and as well as any news apps or whatever. Or even stay here. If you lose power, it'd be probably a good time to go to your safe place, especially at that point. But you at least got about 10 minutes until the storm's even there, if not maybe a little bit longer. Again, this tornado warning is definitely elongated area, and the storm's moving east at about 30 miles per hour. So it's definitely going to take at least a little bit to get there. But again, the area of rotation's right here near Cedar Grove. As of right now, the distance away from Mountain City is about 20 miles. So it's still a decent ways away. But they're obviously pre-planning here for a longer tornado warning, just so you're weather aware at this point. Because again, it's nighttime, and that's the biggest thing, right? It's nighttime. It's 11 o'clock. Some people might be sleeping, so they're making this tornado warning at least a little bit longer, so people have more advanced notice on it, if you know what I mean. At this point, again, it's 11, so. They're actually building a new radar site in Durant, Oklahoma, or Paris, Texas, one of the two, like in that area. They are building a new radar site over there to fill a radar hole for Northeast Texas, so that's exciting. But yeah, I'm hoping all these radar holes get fixed. There's still a decent amount. This is one of the areas that has a pretty prominent radar hole. I mean, I'll just kind of put it in perspective where all the radars are, because we're in between a radar scan. That's one. This is another. This is another. This is the one that we're on, and then this is the other. And then this is the other. We actually have a pretty big hole in here. It's not like huge, but it's more like a thin area here. So there's still a pretty big radar hole there. So if they put a radar site like up here near like Boone area maybe, or Mountain City, would be a pretty good spot probably. Is my guess. I don't know about the geography, but there's definitely some mountainous areas in here, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Actually, let me put on the roadways here. I can do that. I probably should do that. I'll put it on. I believe gray will do it. All right, there we go. I'll put on the roadways instead of my satellite imagery. It makes it a little bit easier for this. So here's your roadways. I think this view looks a little bit better than satellite, at least for this kind of instance. So we'll keep it on that. But here are all your roadways. So State Route 91's out here to the east. We still have the satellite image, or not like satellite, but we at least have river views and all that sort of stuff. So this is a much better view of it, though. June was our last marginal risk or general risk of severe weather. Yeah, I mean, again, it's been a while since we've had any risk below a slight risk of severe weather. It has been a long time, to say the least. And unfortunately, I don't really foresee us seeing anything below a slight risk of severe weather, at least in the foreseeable future, over the next 5 to 7 days. It's going to remain pretty active here in the United States. No problem, Emma. And yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is an active tornado warning in northeast parts of Tennessee, or Mountain City, Shady, Valley, Deauville, Midway, Hunter, and Carter are also included. And also the Cedar Grove, Hickory Tree, Holston View, and Bluff City areas are still included in these tornado warnings. If you're on the west side, or basically west of 11E, so Route 11E, if you're west of here, you are no longer really in a concern area for this tornado warning, so you're okay. But if you're anywhere to the east of that area, you still want to stay in your safe place if you're in these pink polygons. That tornado warning will officially be expiring in 6 minutes, so it will no longer be on the map. If you have any doubt, you can stay in your safe place. But if you're like Bristol, you're no longer really in the track of this area of rotation. Again, the rotation itself is down here, and it's going due east. So basically, anywhere in this area really should be still in their safe place, for sure. Kind of put it a little bit behind as well. But those areas, anywhere in the outlined area, you should definitely be in your safe place, away from windows on the lowest floor possible. Definitely indoors at the bare minimum, obviously, because, you know, I don't know if anybody's that's going to be walking outside at 11 o'clock at night, but since it's been so hot outside, you never know. Brandon, 2025, I believe. Yeah, 2025. A friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to like the stream. It does help get this out to more people that are in the track of these severe storms. And subscribe to the channel. Again, we do live coverage like this all the time. And again, we are currently actively in Northeast Tennessee. If you have any questions about this particular storm, I say that in specifically because there's a lot of people here. If you have any questions about this particular storm, feel free to leave those in the chat. I'll try to get to a few of them. And the radar scans are pretty much every 4 minutes, so they're not overly often, so there's going to be a lot of blank time between all of them. But as the new radar scans come in, again, we'll give you new details if anything has changed in terms of the rotation. Again, we are in between 4 radar sites, so we are pretty much in a radar hole, so it makes it pretty difficult. Let me just see if I can pull up this. Yeah, so again, the rotation right now is going to be located just to the south here of Cedar Grove. So it's right in here, moving to the east. Let's go ahead and put on the velocities again. And it's not overly definitive on this radar, but that's where it is. I'm kind of lining it up with the storm relative velocities as well. This is just the high res velocities. I have the storm relative velocities on my phone, so I'm looking at that. But that's the area there, near the Cedar Grove area. Again, it's moving to the east. It's not overly strong. Again, but the problem is we're in between so many radar sites, so there's some uncertainty on how intense the rotation is, since we are looking a little aloft. Legacy, I do not. I actually don't. That's actually crazy, though. Max velocity. No, I have a different game name if I'm ever playing games. Alright, real quickly, I believe we'd have a new severe thunderstorm watch. Let me just double check. Perhaps, maybe not. We do not, never mind. But we will probably have a new severe thunderstorm watch down the road. For those that are back over in western parts of Virginia and parts of central western North Carolina, so maybe Charlotte and as well as the Greensboro area. And then perhaps maybe even, that's pretty much the main area. I don't think South Carolina will be included in that one. Also near Knoxville, just a little quick update here. Knoxville, it's starting to rain there now. A lot of lightning in this area. Might be able to catch a little bit here for a second. There's some frequent lightning there in the background. Back left of your screen, you'll see it more than anything. Not seeing a whole lot of lightning though, at least in this vicinity, but you can see it all in the background there. So there's a lot of lightning again with these storms for sure. Ro, unfortunately, I do not, no. I mean, if we were down here, we have plenty, but we don't. There is also a new severe thunderstorm warning back down here, south of Chattanooga and northeast Alabama. This is for the potential for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. That is moving to the south and east. That is east of Huntsville. So a little update there. Yeah, we do have a new severe thunderstorm watch. It's now just appearing. That does include parts of western Virginia as well as western North Carolina. This goes until 4 a.m. tonight. Main concern is damaging wind gusts up to 65 miles per hour, and a tornado or two are possible. Those are the main concerns out of these storms for tonight. That is your new severe thunderstorm watch. We'll pull it back up once it's fully rendered in. That is currently being issued. All right, actually, this is the whole entire severe thunderstorm watch. That's it. So it's going to be basically for those in western parts of Virginia. Anywhere outlined right now in this yellow box, you're included in the brand new severe thunderstorm watch. It also includes parts of northwest North Carolina. Again, this will go until 4 a.m. tonight for scattered damaging winds up to 65 miles per hour, and perhaps maybe an isolated tornado or two. Those are the main concerns for tonight. How's it going, Jen? All right, here's the latest update on the storm. Again, I'm not seeing nearly as much intensity on it at this point. The rotation is overall a little bit weaker. Still does exist, but it's not nearly as intense as before. Area of rotation is going to be actually located down here right now. So it's basically over near the Baladine area. It's going to be right in there. And if we go over to the non-smooth radar, which again, that's kind of skewing it up a little bit, but that's where the rotation is pretty much at. So, yeah, if you're basically anywhere right now, now east of Cedar Grove, back over near Upper Shady, the Shady Valley, Mountain City, Midway, Deauville, State Route 91, stay in your safe place, and as well as Route 421, stay in your safe place away from windows on the lowest floor possible if you're currently included, again, in this ongoing tornado warning. And again, we're in Northeast Tennessee. It says it in the title, but I just want to kind of reiterate, we are in Northeast Tennessee right now. That is where this active tornado warning is. Yeah, these storms have been going for about an hour and a half now. Maybe a little bit longer than that. Yeah, these have been active. Legacy, the storms over there will be mainly isolated damaging winds back over. I don't even know if you're going to see anything, though. I think it's kind of further to the west. Let's check. Oh, no, you're not even in the track of the storms. They're off to your east. Might be an isolated shower, or maybe a downpour, possibly a rumble of thunder, but you're not really looking at anything near Nashville. No problem, Jody. Lexington, Kentucky is not looking at this particular area of storms. I don't even know if you have anything up there. Let's check it out. Yeah, not looking at anything right now. You should be fine. You should be fine tonight. All right. Let me check Twitter and see if we have any other updates. Again, this storm overall still has some rotation. It's going to be, again, located basically over the Holston High Knob area. That mountain area there is where this rotation is now located. It's going to be right in here, moving toward Baladine, north of Carter, north of Winter, going toward Shady Valley. Again, Mountain City is still a solid, probably about 10-15 minutes away from the storm. But if you're in Mountain City, I would start planning on getting to your safe place in the next 5-10 minutes. So back out to the east on the eastern side of this tornado warning. Again, you got a few minutes, but I'll consider getting there relatively soon as the storm does continue to move off that direction. Someone reportedly reported a touchdown in Kingsport. Let me find where that is first. Kingsport, that's west of Bluntville. That actually would line up, possibly from earlier. It must have been south of Bluntville, though. There was a storm. This storm in particular was actually quite intense in terms of its overall shape. I don't know about the rotation and everything like that. It looked pretty strong at the time. Back south of the Kingsport area. So there actually may have been a confirmed, or at least a reported touchdown. There might have been a brief tornado there, but that was, again, a while ago, initially with the storm. But I don't think at this current time it's nearly as intense. Again, the rotation's been overall a bit weaker. I mean, we're still looking at some high winds. There's definitely a damaging wind potential. That's the area of rotation near Baladine. A bit of a tongue twister. But the rotation is still kind of a bit broad. It could very well re-strengthen. Again, we are still... Let's see how far away we are from this radar site. This is how much of a radar hole we're in. The closest radar site is 75 miles away, which is not very favorable for this sort of thing. So, the one unfortunate part about being away from that radar site, it kind of hinders the overall view on radar of this storm, but the area of rotation is near the Holston High Knob area now. That's the area of rotation. Again, you got a little bit of hook inflow. It's pretty much the shape of it right now. Tornado will be located west of State Route 91, moving to the east toward Shady Valley and Mountain City. And again, it's moving east about 25 to 30 miles per hour. It's not an overly fast-moving storm by any means. It's definitely not running 60 miles per hour to the east. Not that fast, but it is fast enough to get to Mountain City probably within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Closed captioning available. I'll have to look into that. I thought it was an option, but maybe not. I'll have to look into that and see. I thought it was already on live streams, but maybe not. That would help. Let's real quickly just zoom out. New radar scan will be coming in a couple minutes, so we're just going to zoom out real quick, and we're going to go back down to Knoxville. Check out to see if anything's happening here. Again, this is a live cam over in Knoxville. There's a thunderstorm nearby. You'll see all the flashes of lightning well in the distance back here, where a lot of the flashes are. I'm not seeing a whole lot overhead, though. There you go. There's a decent amount of flashes there in the background. And again, there's a lot of lightning in this area with all these storms. These are, again, highly electrified storms for sure. This is over in Hatton, Alabama, this radar site. Or this live cam, I mean. You can see the lightning there in the background. Yeah, these storms are highly electrified. They really are. I think anybody can vouch for that if you've seen one of these storms so far tonight. There's definitely a lot of lightning. It also shows on radar. This severe storm that's over in northeast Alabama has a pretty decent amount of lightning. The one near Athens in Tennessee also does. Damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Both of those storms producing a pretty decent amount of lightning. Back near Knoxville and Clinton, there's also a frequent amount of lightning there. A lot of it is well out to the north of Knoxville. There's still a lot of lightning there as well. So, again, there's definitely a lot of lightning. Oh, the crane is moving. I cannot say I've really ever seen a crane moving before. This must be as a precaution, I'm guessing. They are moving the crane as we speak. And now it is loading. All right, so go back over to the tornado warning. Again, the tornado warning that we have ongoing is well northeast of Knoxville. This is back over near Mountain City. And this is the furthest northeast point, pretty much, of Tennessee that we're in. Rotation is located over the Holston High Knob Mountain. It's going to be going over State Route 91 in the next few minutes, eventually towards Shady Valley, and also toward Mountain City. Again, we're very far away from the radar site, so the storm structure doesn't look overly impressive on radar, but this is the area of rotation right here. Stay away from windows, lowest floor possible, if you're included in this tornado warning. Again, this is a tornado possible area. That's where the rotation is, and that's where a tornado could drop in the next few minutes as it moves to the east toward Mountain City. Lightning was intense. Again, I can't stress that enough. There's a lot of lightning with these storms. Actually, let me check to see how much lightning is happening every minute. I'm gonna see if I can get that number across this area. So basically spanning from West Virginia or Western Virginia back through northern Mississippi, there's about 130 strikes of lightning per minute. So that's pretty much 2 per second. It's a pretty large area though, so we're talking about a large sample size, but there's a lot of lightning. Sure. Here's the latest radar scan. Again, velocity is not really going to show us a whole lot on here, but that's the area of rotation. Moving to the east, going toward Shady Valley and Mountain City. But again, right now I'm looking at the storm relative velocities, and essentially what we're looking at here is our rotation is right here going away from the radar, and then this is going toward the radar, and there's some broadened area in here. So the rotation is still a little bit broad. Again, it could strengthen at any time, but right now the rotation is still in the broad scale of things. Very well could tighten up, intensify, and maybe produce a tornado in the next few minutes. It's entirely possible. Right now, over the Belladine area, going towards Shady Valley, and eventually going toward the Mountain City area in approximately 10 to 15 minutes. So stay in your safe place. Again, if you're in the immediate area of the storm, if you're over at Mountain City, I would recommend, getting close to that safe place now. You're still a good 5-10 minutes away from the storm, but it's probably better to get there early rather than later. Definitely don't want to be late on that sort of instance. Tornado warning has now been condensed, by the way, so it is no longer as large as it was before. Cedar Grove no longer included in this. Bluff City, again, you're not in a tornado warning anymore. Winter and the Watauga Valley, you're no longer also included in that tornado warning. Still include Shady Valley and Mountain City and Midway for the next several minutes, so stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. This does include Carter, Johnson, and Sullivan counties in Tennessee. Those are the 3 counties. Does not mean if you're in the county, you're in that tornado warning. Those are just the 3 counties that are at least partially included in this tornado warning as of right now. Is it possible there will be a tornado? If there's a tornado warning, that means it's definitely possible, if not likely, that there will be a tornado at some point with a tornado warning cell. I'm pretty sure out of every tornado warning that gets issued, I think it's like a 50% of tornado warnings that get issued actually produce tornadoes. I think that's the probability, that, like, historically, at least in the last few years. I'm pretty sure that percentage has gone up over time, because the technology for radars and everything gets so much better, especially when we start to fill these radar holes and all that. That'll help to basically increase that percentage and make sure that there's not a whole lot of false tornado warnings. So if there's a storm that's about to produce a tornado, it's a higher likelihood that it will actually produce a tornado if there's a tornado warning, if you know what I mean. So that percentage is actually going up over time with technology getting better and understanding of the weather and all that sort of stuff, all the research that goes into all that, because there's a lot of it. Mountain City and Carter are now the only 2 towns or cities, quote unquote. There's other locations like Shady Valley, but those are the 2 main locations now included in this tornado warning. And Mountain City and the Shuns and Carter areas here in northeast Tennessee. Again, we are at the furthest northeastern part here of Tennessee. Actually, let me check and see. Do we have a better view yet? I don't think we do. Check out the velocities. Yeah, unfortunately, we're in between so many radar sites. It's kind of hard to get a great view on this. This is another radar. I mean, this is not a bad view either. This is looking north to, or basically south to north. And you'll notice this is, again, looking pretty high up in the atmosphere. I mean, we're looking definitely about 10,000 feet at least into the atmosphere. So that means that we're looking a little bit above where that rotation would be. But that's basically what we're looking at here over the Shady Valley area going toward Mountain City. Just another view of it. But this gives us an idea of what the storm structure looks like in terms of at least the reflectivity. Gives us an idea if there's like a clear hook echo. We're not really seeing that. It's a pretty disorganized looking area here right now. We're not really seeing that hook that we had before. Because again, if we go back like, let's just say 21 frames. Let me go to the other radar site. Maybe let's actually go back. We'll go back 30. This is what it looked like before. So way back when, this actually might not even be enough. We're gonna have to go back 50. Actually, no, it is enough. Never mind. Let me go back 30. But this is basically what it looked like about, I don't know, 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, maybe an hour ago when you're boring. Definitely got a hook there. You can kind of see that shape over time evolve with this storm. It's just kind of the evolution, but I had a pretty decent hook echo there. Inflow going to the storm. It's kind of lost that. It's recycled a bit on the front edge of the storm, so it's gone through a recycling process a little bit. Looks to be more of just a thunderstorm now, but look at this. This is a key point here. There's not really much lightning with this anymore, so there's a good chance that this storm is weakening, which would obviously be very good news, so that we don't have a tornado here. Let me just double check to see. Place radar scan. Yeah, rotation's definitely weakening right now. As of now, again, it could strengthen again, but right now it looks like the lightning overall, the amount of lightning that's happening, it's very infrequent now. It's only a couple of strikes every 5-10 minutes. So it's definitely a weakening storm right now. It's still something to watch, though. It could very well produce a tornado, but I'm not really seeing a whole lot of organization with this one anymore. But again, we'll keep a very close eye on this as it continues to move to the east, in addition to the other storms that are further down to the south and west as well. Thank you to whoever became a Maximum Velocity member. I appreciate it. For some reason, you retracted your message. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome to the Velocities. Sorry. I appreciate you joining the Velocities. Welcome. I will go to other areas, especially after this tornado warning is done. So real quickly, go back to Knoxville. Not sure if we're going to be able to see anything else here. The crane has moved entirely, so it's kind of, it's basically blocking one half of the screen. Look at all this lightning, though, in the background here. Again, this is in Knoxville, Tennessee, what we're looking at with that lightning in the background. That's the storms that I believe are to the north. I'm pretty sure we're looking north this way, is my guess. Because of where the storms are right now, where the lightning is. So, it's by the looks of it, where all the lightning is right now associated with this storm. Back up north of Knoxville. Let's go back over here further to the south. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning back over near Athens as well. This is what it looks like on the velocity, so let's see if we have any better radar sites. Might be a bit of a radar hole here, too. Trying to look around. We have another one over here. It's not a very good view. Yes, we'll stay on this one. So this is what we're looking at right now back over near the Athens area in Tennessee. A lot of storm activity here. Not really looking at a tornado risk here. We're looking at damaging winds. This is a very disorganized area of storms. This is more of a damaging wind threat right now. But damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour is the possibility here. All this activity moving off to the east toward Robbinsville and the Tellico Plains area, Madisonville. Again, the main concern, though, will be damaging winds with these storms as they do continue to move to the east over the next several minutes. That is the main concern as of right now. And the Athens one actually just, I believe, expired or actually got canceled. So we're now back on to the severe thunderstorm warning that is over here. That is no longer a severe thunderstorm warning. So we're looking apparently at mainly lightning there now, with maybe some gusty winds. So that's the latest update on the Athens storm that's east of Athens. But not really a whole lot of rotation there. Tornado touchdown in Sir Goingsville, Tennessee tonight. Do we have any confirmation of that? Like any damage photos or a tornado video, photo, anything like that on social media? Because if we do, I'll definitely look into it. Still live at 11 p.m. I've only been live for an hour and 15 minutes. A normal live stream nowadays for me is like 4 hours. On average. I mean, if we have any like damage photos, I can definitely look at it. Because there might have been. I haven't seen anything on Twitter or anything like that yet, but if you have any photos or videos, again, you can feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. Also, feel free to follow me over there. I'll definitely post updates on if there is any sort of tornado confirmation on that. I'm looking at Twitter. I'm not seeing anything on the Sir Goingsville area, though. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if there was maybe a brief tornado there. But I don't see anything confirmed, at least right now, at least in terms of damage or anything like that. No problem, Holly. Sirens don't always go off for tornado warnings. Again, don't rely on sirens. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts outside of sirens. Sirens are kind of one of those things that can work and might not work. You know, it definitely happens with certain tornado events. Maybe that, you know, there's some sort of technical issue, whatever it might be. Don't want to rely on tornado sirens. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts. That can include a weather radio. It can include, again, your mobile device. It's really the most common one out there. So have multiple ways. Don't just rely on one method. Have multiple. And if you want more ways than just the weather radio and phone, there's plenty of ways. You can look them up on Google. National Weather Service site has a bunch, but tornado sirens is one of those that you can have it as a method, but don't have it as your main method or most relied on method, because they don't always work. Do I think West Virginia will get a watch? I kind of doubt it. After this next radar scan, I'm going to see if there's anything here, but if not, we're going to show you the future radar and the rest of tonight in terms of the severe weather potential. Because again, I think the storm's weakening out. Maybe it's trying to re-intensify, we'll see. It's 10:15 right now. Again, not a lot of rotation here right now. Overall, the rotation's very broad on this storm. We'll see if it tries to re-intensify over the next several minutes, though. All right, let's do a quick little timing guide for tonight, give you an idea of what's going to be going down for the next several hours, and give you an idea of, again, what's ahead. So let's go and show you the future radar for tonight. And this is the 500 millibar winds when I was looking at the mid-level winds. Let me go to the composite reflectivity. There we go. All right, here's the storms for tonight. So this is as of about 10 o'clock tonight. Again, we have a lot of storms out there, parts of Pennsylvania as well. This is by 12 o'clock tonight, though. Again, notice there's going to be plenty of storms. Or actually, sorry, this is by 1 o'clock. The timestamp up here at an hour. I'm on Central Time. This is the area of storms that we're watching for at least some storm activity to continue. Main concern out of this will be damaging winds into the overnight hours, but there is a chance for maybe an isolated tornado. Going to the overnight hours, so by like 2 to 3 in the morning, storms will continue across eastern Pennsylvania and possibly New Jersey. There's still a low chance for an isolated tornado overnight into tomorrow morning, but I'd say the risk overall is on the lower side. Have a tornado action plan in place if you're back up in those areas. Still a low-end chance as well back over in eastern Ohio for maybe a brief spin-up, but I don't really foresee much of a tornado risk. This is by tomorrow morning. Notice the storms are all gone here across parts of the East Coast. And then eventually going tomorrow, we have our next risk of severe weather, which would be across parts of the mid-Atlantic, the very far eastern mid-Atlantic region, for tomorrow's severe weather threat. And this is what we're looking at for tonight. Again, there is still actively a slight risk of severe weather that extends from Tennessee, as well as northern Alabama and Georgia, back into New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland. And then outside of that, going into tomorrow, here's a tornado risk real quick. So this is the tornado risk for tonight. Again, we still have a low-end chance here across parts of Virginia, North Carolina, maybe northeast Tennessee for the next couple hours. And then the tornado risk is primarily still centered across areas in the mid-Atlantic. That's for maybe an isolated tornado or two, but I still think the threat tonight is low. Not zero, it is low. Tomorrow's risk of severe weather moves to the East Coast. Extends from the southern New England all the way back through parts of the southeast. From Florida back through southern New England. The main concern tomorrow will again be damaging winds scattered up to 65 miles per hour. Tornado risk is on the lower side of things. We have an isolated tornado risk primarily near the Virginia Beach and Richmond, Virginia area, and then back into parts of southern Maryland, and as well as into southern New England in Providence, Bridgeport, maybe east of New York, south of Boston. Those are the main concerns, though, overall for tomorrow. Will be the threat for damaging winds, and as well as the threat for maybe an isolated tornado or two. And again, that's subject to change. I don't think that risk will be upgraded to enhanced by any means, but that is your risk for tomorrow. And again, as of right now, we do still have a tornado warning in northeast Tennessee, so stay in your safe place away from windows, lowest floor possible if you are currently in northeast Tennessee. And friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, again, feel free to hit the like button down below. It does help, again, get this out to more people that are in the track of these storms, and also make sure to subscribe to our channel. Yeah, we do live coverage like this all the time. Your one-stop shop for severe weather coverage. And as of right now, again, the rotation on this storm has been fairly weak for quite some time. I think that this will probably be canceled, but we'll see. We will see. All right, let me go and check and see if we have any other reports. But again, as of right now, we have had none. We're between multiple radar sites, as I mentioned before, so the overall idea of us seeing this is going to be pretty difficult on radar. Thanks, Tangent. Appreciate it. Give me 1 second. Oh, there we go. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, this is Northeast Tennessee. Tornado warning near Mountain City. If you're in Mountain City, get to your safe place now, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, in an interior room of your home or building. Scott, I do not. I don't think that's going moderate by any means. Thursday, I think, might have a better chance of severe weather up in the Midwest. That could go maybe enhanced, but I don't expect a moderate risk in the near future. At least this week, by that. Again, rotations right now located west of the Mountain City area. If you're in Mountain City, stay away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building if you're still included in this tornado warning. And the rotation does remain broad at this time. We'll still watch it closely, but it's still on the broader side as it approaches Mountain City. Again, it could strengthen, though, so stay in your safe place for sure if you're in Mountain City. Again, it's approaching pretty quickly right now. I just want to give you guys a heads up, by the way. I will not have any live streams. I just want to mention this before I forget. I will not have any live streams or probably any videos from Thursday up until at least Saturday, if not possibly into Sunday. Just want to throw that out there. I will be going away for the weekend. I'll make an announcement for it, but I just didn't want to forget to tell you guys. I'm going to see if there's anything new on Twitter. Again, Twitter is usually where I look for any updates on these storms. If you're again in Mountain City, don't try to go outside and looking for this. Again, we are currently looking at a at least a threat for some small hail. And not just small hail, but also the threat of damaging winds. Again, possibly a brief tornado. The rotation, though, is weakened considerably, but you should still at least remain in shelter until the warning has officially been called, as in terms of being canceled or expiring for Mountain City. The tornado warning goes for 23 more minutes, so we'll see if it does evolve into anything. And after this tornado warning, if it ends up being canceled, we will start to answer questions. So if you have questions and you're hanging on to them, I'll be answering some of those after this tornado warning ends. I'm still answering a few here and there as well. But a lot of mountains in here. Yeah, there are a lot of mountains. After this yellow glitch goes away, I'll kind of show you. But this is like, for example, mountains right here. Dock Mountain, Mary Mountain, Gentry Mountain, the Rainbow Mountain area. I mean, there's a bunch of mountains in here. Hence why it's called Mountain City. Chandler, if you have the video, the best place to do it is just tweeting me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. If not, if you can't do that, you can email me with the link in the description. Those are the best ways to pretty much do it. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning, so this should entirely replace the tornado warning. That's the expectation at this point. But this is a new severe thunderstorm warning that will go up until basically 82 minutes from now, so it's a pretty long time. This is mainly for the threat of damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. They still have a tornado possible label on this, meaning that there is still a chance for maybe a tornado. So that is still in play. But if you're at Jefferson out in front of this, again, make sure you're prepared for that. Damaging winds is definitely the main concern. There's still some lightning. It's not nearly as much as before. Frequent amount of lightning is not really there anymore. There's still some strikes, though. You can see it here. Again, there's a few strikes. It's nothing crazy. It's not frequent cloud of ground lightning or anything like that. But there's still enough lightning to the point where you should definitely still be staying indoors for sure. But if you're in Jefferson, the Weavers Ford area, Lansing, Apple Grove, Flatwood, Creston, Trout, Todd, Obids, and Yates, anywhere in those areas, again, you should at least stay in your safe place. If you're able to. Away from windows, preferably, with the damaging wind threat coming into play. Maybe a brief tornado is still possible. But the rotation, again, on this storm is weakened considerably over the last 20 to 30 minutes. It's really not nearly as intense as before. Overall, the storm itself is weakening out quite a bit, so that's good news. But still a tornado warning, so still treat it as if it is a tornado warning, as it is. And stay away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Hopefully this does end up being canceled or at least expiring, because I do not have any water right now. I had one bottle of water for this entire live stream, which I didn't think I'd be live for much longer than an hour, but hey, we're gonna be live at least for the next little while. Here's the Knoxville live cam, by the way, back over in Tennessee. Some decent lightning right now happening in the background. It's really far back here, though. It's kind of behind the hills, maybe the mountains there. On the northern side of Knoxville, that's what that's looking at. So there's still a lot of flashes of lightning. They're very frequent here. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson City, Morristown, Bowles Gap, Harrietville. And that's for the main concern of damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. That'll be the threat over there. If you're in North Carolina, you're not really going to be seeing anything here for the next at least hour or so. If you're back on the western side of the state, you have a bit more concern there. But Jefferson, for example, you are in track of this storm. You're mainly watching for the damaging wind threat of 60 miles per hour. But overall, if you're like the western side of the state, you'll be watching for these like very isolated storms entering. I mean, this isn't even really a storm, it's just rain now. But any of these isolated storms that enter into western North Carolina, they are mainly producing damaging winds. There might be, again, a brief tornado out of one of these, but I'm mainly concerned right now about the overall damaging wind threat and also the frequent lightning. Those are really the main two concerns from here on out for those in North Carolina as well as parts of Western Virginia. Again, this is right now a tornado warning in northeast Tennessee. It'll probably be canceled or let to expire, and then we'll be watching for at least a severe storm to continue, with damaging winds being the main concern throughout northwest parts of North Carolina. But yeah, we'll stay on the storm at least for the next several minutes and see if anything evolves. Again, we're going to still keep a close eye on this as it moves off to the east, but it is definitely weakening a lot, which is, again, very good news. Thank you, Kenny, for subscribing, by the way. I do appreciate it. Welcome. Let's check out the other radar site. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see anything better here. Again, we're not really seeing a whole lot. Unfortunately, we are in between so many radar sites, but it does seem as if this rotation is very weak now. The only reason why this tornado warning is going to probably continue right now is because we don't really have a great view of the radar site. Again, we're in a radar hole, so it makes it harder to see the velocities on radar. And since it's nighttime, we don't have any people watching the storm in Mountain City, really. I mean, if there's not really any storm chasers out here, I'm guessing, chasing this particular storm, or really any storm. So, yeah, it makes it a lot more difficult when it's almost 12 o'clock at night and you have these storms ongoing. It makes it that much harder to be able to figure out exactly, you know, if there's actually rotation here, since we're such a far distance away from a radar site. But the best way that we've been able to look at is the storm relative velocities, and that's not visible here, but the rotation's basically over the Dome Mountain area, right in here, just north of Dome Mountain, near Mountain City. And so it's still broad. It's really not that crazy. It's been very broad for a while, and the storm itself is weakening too. The reflectivity values, you can see all this breaking of the red here, and when you start to see that, that does indicate somewhat of a weakening storm overall. And the lightning amount has been way less than before as well, so that's good news for sure. That's at least what we're looking at this point. How's it going, Yender? Welcome back. How many people are back in school now? Today Monday? Tomorrow is tossing trampolines on Tacos Tuesday. And we have Wacky Weather Wednesday, tossing trampolines on Tall Trees Thursday, and then Flying Fences Friday. Coming up. See if there's anything else on Twitter. And we haven't had really any reports in the last few minutes on this. But Mountain City, again, nothing new for you. Again, the rotation's going to be basically over top of you in the next couple minutes, so definitely get to your safe place now. If you are currently in Mountain City, away from windows, lowest floor possible, just in case. This just happened on Radar Omega. This was a lightning strike that just happened. Jeez, that's really bright. That just happened, though. Really, a lot of that was cloud-to-cloud lightning, but really intense cloud-to-cloud lightning. It's back over in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That is seriously bright. Play it one more time in case you missed it. Actually, I can do it in slow-mo here. Doing slow-mo. Seriously bright lightning. See at the end, the cloud of ground lightning part of it. But yeah, that was again out of the Chattanooga cyclone port on Radar Omega. Intense lightning. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's some pretty intense lightning with these storms. This one in particular has been weakening quite a bit, but something to kind of watch out for. Again, a lot of lightning tonight. Obviously, if you hear thunder, it's going to be pretty frequent. For sure. All right. Yeah, again, we're still watching the storm closely. Again, not really any new updates on this as of right now. It's going to be going toward Jefferson in North Carolina. Moving off to the east towards Weavers Ford, Lansing, Creston, Trout, Todd, Obids, and Yates. Toward the peak, Mount Jefferson, and Phoenix Mountain. And this will be moving off to the east. Stay in your safe place if you're in the Mountain City area. Again, the rotation's basically over top of you in the next, 2 minutes. If not even sooner. So, stay in your safe place if you're in Mountain City. Away from windows on the lowest floor possible near State Route 67. Moving to the east as of right now. That's awesome, Chandler. Those are really good photos. Appreciate you sending those in. Let's actually check and see if there's anything else down here to the south and west. The severe thunderstorm warning is still continuing south of Chattanooga. And that is currently for the threat of damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Back near Huntsville, we have strong storms in northern Alabama. None of which, again, are severe right now, but they are strong. And this is a live view out of southern Tennessee. There's some lightning up there in the clouds. So I was just kind of seeing if we could see anything with that storm. You guys see in the background. It's actually a pretty good view of this up in the top right. We get one good lightning strike. You'll see the cloud structure a little bit, but some decent cloud structure there. And back over in parts of southern Tennessee. Yeah, nothing really definitive in terms of lightning. We've had a couple strikes, but they're kind of distant still. Yeah, still some decent storms, though, down here to the south. I mean, we do have some storms ongoing here. All these are strong or non-strong. I mean, none of these are severe right now, other than the one near Lafayette. This one's weakening. It's mainly damaging winds with downburst winds with a lot of lightning, which is definitely a concern. Special weather statement now out in front of it. That's going to mean that's probably not going to be a severe thunderstorm warning any longer. And then we still have the storms over near Knoxville. They're off to the northeast of Knoxville now, back near Jefferson City and Morristown. Those are quickly moving off to the east, producing the main concern of damaging winds, and then another one north of Andrews producing damaging winds and quarter-sized hail. That's east of Athens. And then back over near Nashville, nothing really happening here. It's all on the southern side of the state, and that is where we're really watching for the main concern of at least some damaging winds. What is this light right here? Is this just a random flashing light? Anybody else seeing this? What is this? It just went to this live cam. I don't know what it is. It looks like a rotating light maybe or something. Thought it might have been a meteor or something like that at first. That was weird. See you later, Holly. Have a good night. 5:30. Wow, that's really early. Have a good night's sleep. Was there a tornado on the ground? UFO. Was there a tornado on the ground? Not that storm. That storm, we've had no confirmation of a tornado at this point. So again, there might have been one in between radar scans. There might have also been one earlier when the storm was actually intense. Again, we can go back like 75 frames and we can kind of go back to when this was actually intense. This is back around 9 o'clock tonight. This is when it first was tornado warned. And this is the hook that I'm talking about, right there near the Sirgoinsville area, near Lawns Bend. That's the area right there that we had a pretty defined hook there. Still right there by 942, just south of Churchill, Tennessee. This is when it was really intense. And then it has been kind of in a cycle for, it was in a cycle for probably about an hour now. It just hasn't really done a whole lot overall in terms of its intensity, being able to have a strong inflow and just disorganized overall. And daylight heating is such an important factor with storms like this in this type of environment, because this is an environment where we have a lot of like discrete, or really like we have some discrete cells, but they're just not in that great of an environment here. We have enough shear. The wind profiles kind of match up for maybe an isolated tornado or two, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, we're not looking at like strong tornado mania or like a big tornado outbreak, nothing like that. But some people dramatize these events so much to the point where they're just not what they sound like. This is not a tornado outbreak. This is just an isolated tornado or two, and that's it. And this storm in particular, I mean, it has had an environment where it can, you know, definitely produce a tornado, but it definitely hasn't come to fruition. At least if it did, it was very brief, right? So, yeah, by no means this is like a tornado outbreak or anything like that. Justin, sometimes I just look up like the town or city name. Sometimes it's just looking at my own feed, you know? So those are the main things I look at. Like I use the search bar and look up certain things. See if I can find any new details. That's one of the more effective ways I'm able to do it. Sometimes I'll look at Facebook too. But using the search bar can be quite effective in a lot of instances, especially if you're trying to find something really specific. This storm, guys, I'm telling you, it's really fizzling out quickly. It's weakening quick. This thing is turned in from a supercell that hook echo earlier around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it's really now 11:35, and it's really not doing much anymore. It's good news. Have a good night, Bart. Appreciate you tuning in. Is Vince live? Vince is not live. Vince is taking a little break. He's back up, I believe, in the Midwest. Taking a break. I mean, this isn't something I would have assumed. I don't think anybody really was chasing this, to be honest, this event. Maybe back up in, like, maybe the DC area, but have a great night, JD. And again, I appreciate your 12 months as a minimum velocity member. Have a great night. Yeah, Vince isn't chasing this. I don't really think anybody really is, at least that I know of. I could be wrong, but I don't think really anybody's live for this either. I mean, I went live just because, I saw 2 tornado warnings. And again, these live streams do take a few minutes to set up. I mean, about 15 minutes before I went live, that's when I started to set up for it. It takes about 15 minutes to set up, at least in a basic sense of things for a live stream. It can be different, obviously it varies. If it's a more significant event, I'm prepared well ahead of time. But this is kind of one of those events that I just kind of went live for out of nowhere, so... Further reminder, again, if you're tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe down below. Helps you. Yeah, we do live streams like this all the time. And again, as of right now, the rotation is very broad. It's over Mountain City. It's very weak right now. Stay in your safe place if you're near the Mountain City area in Osborne and Willand Gap. If you're over near Jefferson, this storm is still ways away. It's going to be there probably in about, I don't know, probably 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. It's a pretty slow-moving storm. Jefferson doesn't have an ETA on this, but Jefferson's probably going to be about 30 minutes from now until the storm is actually there. So we got a little ways away. There's definitely going to be a lightning show with this as it continues to move to the east over the next several minutes. Otherwise, again, this storm will probably be weakening here for the next little while. Hey, no problem, unstable. Again, I'm not trying to fear anybody unless there's an actual situation where the rotation is strong, tight, confined, and there's an actual tornado about to happen. This case, again, I'm not really that confident that we're going to see anything like that. There might be a brief tornado here, but the rotation itself is very weak. I mean, I've been looking at different radar angles on my phone and stuff, and there's just nothing really there in terms of rotation here. Ice cream, I might for the April Fool's Day, but that's pending if there's nothing too crazy for April Fool's Day. Which there probably will be since that's April, but you never know. All quiet in Mountain City still. That's good to hear. Yeah, again, I think this storm is weakening out pretty quickly. I don't think this thing's going to... I mean, it's kind of getting close to the point where it might not even be near severe limits. Might be below that now. So, it is definitely weakening. But the tornado warning is still going to be let to go here for another 7 minutes, and then after that, we're done with this. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the chat. And again, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. We're about 200 subscribers now from 65,000. Getting close to that milestone, and yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the chat. That's basically what I'll be doing here for the next few minutes. Because again, this storm overall, again, not really rotating as much as before. The tornado warned part of this, it's much weaker than before. We're not really looking at anything that crazy anymore. Again, there's some lightning here and there, but it's a much weaker storm than before for sure. It's really weakened out. Now there are studies, and again, I'm kind of behind this a little bit, but there are studies out there that when the lightning is at a peak and it starts to go down a little bit, like a little dip, let's just say this is like our lightning scale. I'm just gonna do a little graph here, but let's just say this is a lot of lightning when the storm begins, like this amount of lightning strikes per minute, let's say, and it gets up to this point, and all of a sudden there's like this dip afterwards. This can sometimes indicate that there's a tornado about to happen, or at least something like there's some studies that show that it might be something that happens where if there's a lightning dip like that, a tornado might be imminent. But again, there's nothing like hardcore on that, but this is just something that I've kind of done a little bit of research about. So it's just a little interesting topic. But I mean, we're not looking at that with this. I mean, this storm has been not really producing a whole lot of lightning for quite a while. I mean, this lightning graph here on this storm would probably be like, might be like this, and it's been like down here now. It's pretty much at 0. So it's much weaker than before. But, yep. You think the one above Knoxville will be tornadic? Which one? Are you talking about, I'm guessing you're talking about this one over here, or off to the northwest. This storm in particular, it's producing damaging winds. This one's not tornadic. This is so disorganized. Back over here to the northwest as well, not tornadic. It's not really organized either. But yeah, this activity here is not really that crazy in terms of a tornado probability. This is all basically discombobulized cluster of storms. It's producing some damaging winds. That's pretty much it. Any updates on hurricanes? I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really going to talk about hurricanes much unless they are actually about to be, or not like about to be, but like if they have an actual possibility of going toward the United States. There's a lot of hype videos out there on like YouTube and stuff like that about, oh, there's a big hurricane coming next week or something. Guys, we have nothing over here right now. There's the closest tropical wave that has any chance of producing anything here in the next week or two is back over in Africa. It's nowhere near the United States. So we are still probably at least a week or two out from having an actual hurricane even close to the United States, if not even possibly longer than that. Again, we're in El Nino. I want to throw that out there. There's going to be a lot of shear, so these systems will struggle a bit to develop. Which is the good news about El Nino. Obviously, the bad news is it's been brutally hot this summer. But again, if you see any like hype videos about hurricanes or anything like that, there's nothing. I mean, again, I would make a video on it if there's something imminent for the United States, or even something in the next 7 days. There's nothing though. Nothing to be concerned about in terms of hurricanes, tropical storms, anything like that. We're not in that situation right now. See you later, Earth. Want to travel? You want to travel, or you are traveling into Florida in 2 weeks? Where are you going? If you're going to Florida, a lot of things to do in Florida. And tornadoes still happen on mountains? Yeah, they can happen pretty much anywhere. Not going to cover the Great Hurricane Outbreak of 2047. You know, I had a live stream already planned for that one. It's ready, just in case. Ice Cream, you're looking at isolated damaging winds, but that'd be about it. Main thing right now would just be lightning. Over that direction. And this storm's about to exit this tornado warning, and after the tornado warning, after it exits the tornado warning, this storm's definitely gonna be weakening here as it moves to the east. That'll be what's happening over the next several minutes. We'll see what happens. The tornado warning expires in 3 minutes, so after that, we're pretty much done with the tornado warning. I do have some exciting news after this tornado warning ends. Alright, it just got canceled. Never mind. Alright, so the tornado warning is no longer ongoing. There's still a tornado possible, but this storm's obviously weakening out pretty quickly. I do want to go ahead and throw this out there because I don't want to forget this either. Tonight is the last night that you can purchase any of our I Want Snow or I Want Sunshine merchandise on shopmaxvelocity.net. I'm going to go ahead and just show you that real quick. But we do have some of these different things, like I Want Sunshine, I Want Snow t-shirts that we have. Again, these are very comfortable, affordable, and they're really high quality t-shirts. And we have also Supercell shirts and Supercell hat that somebody actually bought earlier in the live stream. And these are really high quality stuff. I mean, again, these are embroidered hats. The shirts themselves are very high quality, very comfortable. Again, I can vouch for it. They are very comfortable. I'm not even kidding. They're Bell canvas shirts, which are very comfortable in general. So yeah, again, if you want to check these out, again, you can go to shopmaxvelocity.net. I will post that link in the chat. I just want to throw that out there, though. Those shirts are going away, like, literally in about an hour. So if you want to get one of those I Want Snow or I Want Sunshine shirts, they might return in the future, but it will not be in the next few months. So if you want to get one, again, feel free to pick one up at shopmaxvelocity.net. The link is in the chat. And also, if you want to support the page, you can become a member. It's as little as $2.99 a month. Another big announcement, by the way, Members now get exclusive bonus weather forecasts, and these forecasts are not replacing the daily weather forecast that we have. Essentially, I'm doing an extra forecast, just more in detail and more about a specific severe weather event, just kind of giving you like a scientific rundown of what's happening with a certain severe weather event. So if you want to check those videos out, those are exclusive to members. I'm doing about one a week, possibly less and more depending on the severe weather that's happening. But those you can also get becoming a member for as little as $2.99 a month. You can click that top link in the description, and it's also pinned in the chat. So I just want to throw that out there. Again, by no means do you have to become a member, but it's just a nice little perk that I added into members since we have about 150 now. And we'll be doing it more often as we continue to increase our overall member count here on YouTube. But it's really, I love doing scientific, detailed forecasts. And again, I love doing weather forecasts and live streams. And I want to do more of them. Like, I don't want to do like 2 a day, but I want to do like more videos because I just love doing it. So just a little fun idea that I wanted to do anyways, and we'll see how it goes with the members. But maybe I'll start making them public. I don't know. I don't want to do 2 videos a day though. I feel like that would be way too much. So I like having like the main reason why I'm doing that is because when we have daily weather forecasts, which they'll probably go bi-daily eventually, but once we do daily forecasts, basically doing 1 forecast a day basically means that I'm doing more of a broad forecast, as in I'm trying to make sure it's like, in a way, like it's still educational to the viewer, but it's not confusing, if you know what I mean. When I'm doing these like member only ones, they're going to be more in detail, more in depth, and there might be a bit more confusing to the average viewer. That's why I'm kind of saying, like, you know, I want those videos to be a little bit more, you know, not out to everybody, because it might just get confusing. If you know what I mean. I don't know if you do, but just kind of throwing that out there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the storms. But again, overnight tonight, the main concern will be damaging winds. There might still be an isolated brief weak tornado across this region, even possibly one back up in parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Again, the tornado risk for tonight is still on the lower side of things. But overall, the main concern for tonight will be the threat of damaging winds. A lot of lightning as well. These are highly electrified storms. There might be a brief tornado. Again, I was not expecting to be live for almost 2 hours tonight, but the tornado warning cells went for quite a while back up in parts of northeast Tennessee. It's obviously been very active. And again, we sometimes do these live streams that kind of pop up out of nowhere. So just kind of, again, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell icon down below so you're notified if and when we go live. But overall, again, for the rest of tonight, make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts. Have a tornado action plan in place just in case there are any severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings in your area, as well as flash flood warnings, by the way. We actually have 2 back down here to the south in southeast Tennessee. So stay weather aware, have multiple ways to receive alerts, have a tornado action plan in place just in case there are any tornado warnings. But otherwise, other than that, oh my god, I can't talk. That's it for this live stream. I don't have any water, so I really can't go much longer because I already drank all of it. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments after the stream. I'll try to get back to at least 1 or 2 of them. But again, overall tonight, it's just isolated damaging winds, maybe a brief tornado. Just make sure you're prepared, right? And that's it for tonight. And if you want to pick up one of those t-shirts, again, they are limited and they're going away in literally within the next hour, possibly in the next 30 minutes. So pick one up at shopmaxvelocity.net. Again, there's a ton of different merchandise options over there. Very comfortable merch. Check it out. And that's it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great safe rest of your night. Again, I will not have any live streams or videos from, oops, that's my Photoshop, but I will not have any photos or videos or live streams from Thursday until Saturday, possibly into Sunday. I'm going to be taking a trip with my brother this weekend. I haven't really done that much at all, so we'll be doing that this weekend. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great safe rest of your night, guys. We'll see you guys all again soon. Have a great night.